Welcome back, guys, to Psycho Enigma's F1 2016 career playthrough. We had an R&D event, so our new part for the engine is now fitted. We've got 8 more brake horsepower for our car, and we're here in Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix, the 5th round of this F1 2016 World Drivers' Championship. We're in a rivalry with Esteban Gutierrez, which happened technically in the last part. I had issues with Russia. I'm also now the first driver for the team. You can see Haas and McLaren Honda have upgraded their car as well, so they're going to be moving up the pecking order, as we can see here. McLaren now the 4th fastest team, and Haas is getting very close to Force India. So being the first driver, we're now going to be getting more resource points, and I was looking at it thinking, well, I could really do with an engine upgrade. Just having a look at the progress history, because that's nice to see. So I'm thinking we could go for the engine, but we need I'm thinking I might just go for all the level 1 upgrades. You can see 1 point in it for the World Drivers' Championship at the top. We're down there in 13th on our 8 points, and Renault in 8th overall, as Kevin Magnussen yet to contribute as we move on to practice. So, practice, first session, of course, always the track acclimatization, the hardest compound of a tyre, and some car settings. I sort of adjusted it to be able to get a bit more turn in, and also wanted to be able to run and give a little less like pressure on the rear tyres, especially when it came to the tyre wear test, which I do need to be doing. I've realised that I need to be able to push the car and be able to do the tyre wear test, get the additional points, and be able to just upgrade faster, because we're just losing out too much at the moment, which isn't exactly what we want to be doing at all. So as we come to the end of the track acclimatization, it's a pretty damn good lap from us. You would kind of hope it would be, because Spain has been on the calendar for years and years and years and years and years. As we come through, and it's a purple lap there. We got the target score only by 5 points, but still, it's the full 50 points. And here's the tyre wear test. Admittedly, all green laps, couldn't get any kind of purple. The fast corners, still I'm not too good at the fast corners on these tyre wear tests, I must admit. However, 30 resource points is something that I can just be dealing with, because it's not something I've really had too much. And here comes the qualifying pace program on the soft tyre. Remember, this is the first weekend in which the compounds are soft, medium and hard. We didn't get a good run out of the final corner, so essentially any kind of lap time we would have got was dropped down, because we were about 4/10 up as we went through the chicane. But here's the resource points, essentially just completing all of the objectives. What I did do is I did the tyre wear test and the qualifying pace in practice 3, because the track was more rubbered in, which made it a little bit easier, gave me a bit more grip. But here's our details.
Hi, how are you? I'm just passing on your qualifying goals for this weekend.
So there you have it, that we need to qualify 16th or higher, beat our rival and beat Kevin Magnussen. Fairly standard stuff, but I mean, we're no longer expected to be 18th and 19th. It's a little bit higher, and as you can see on qualifying, here we come. I figured I would just go aggressive and run the soft compound tyre, because I didn't think I was personally going to get out of Q1. Spain is not one of my favourite tracks. I don't like Spain, I'm going to be honest. Not a big fan of Spain there. Our first lap was not great, so I bolted on a fresh set of soft tyres, and Danny Kvyat doing us a horrible injustice by just sitting in our way, and we had to get past him. Bearing in mind we were on a very low amount of fuel. You can see our delta, we're nearly half a second up as we come around the final corner, punched the DRS open, and we only improved on 1 position, so it had to be the case that we had to go for another lap here, and we found another half second because we didn't have anyone in our way. Crossing the line over 6/10 up, that gets us 15th place, ahead of Gutierrez and just behind Kevin Magnussen. Unfortunately, because I used the fresh set of soft tyres, it meant I didn't actually have any kind of new ones to run in Q2, and as such we start 16th.
Hi, it's Emma here. Just wanted to let you know what the team are hoping for in the race.
So 16th or higher, finish higher again, finish ahead of Gutierrez and Magnussen. So pretty much just hold station, but that's not what we do. That's not what we do around here.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson is here with me today. Together we'll be taking you through all the action of this Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix, Ant. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
I love Anthony Davidson there, just pretty much being like, Crofty, I see your opinion, but you're wrong. So, one-stop strategy for the Spanish Grand Prix, starting on the medium compact tyres, going to the hards. So essentially, obviously, tyre wear test completed on the medium tyres, I believe. And I did something a little bit different. I've actually kept the formation lap in this edit because I did something a little bit different here. I essentially just, originally I was going to take it as normal, but then I decided, do you know what, actually, we're going to go through. So I wanted to look at everyone's strategy. See Bottas on the softs ahead of us, Magnussen sharing our strategy of starting on mediums, Daniel Ricciardo on the soft compound tyre, and you can see Danny Kvyat here. So the Toro Rosso out qualifying the Red Bull on mediums. Grosjean here up in 9th on soft tyres, outperforming his Haas tremendously. And the McLarens did well here as well, soft tyres. I think we're pretty much going to see soft tyres from most of the guys up ahead of us here. Obviously, the formation lap, I was aware you could overtake, but yeah, I just figured I'd have some good fun. So Jenson Button up in 6th, showing the McLaren Honda's upgrades going well here. He's on soft tyres as well. I think most of them were on soft. I think the Ferraris ran mediums, actually. Obviously, the reason we're starting on them is we want the one stop. We are behind, starting in 16th place, so we need the extra track position. So we need less opportunity for us to be overtaken in the pit stop. So that's why we're going to be running the one stop. As you can see here, Kimi Räikkönen starting on the medium compound tyre from 3rd place. And I believe Sebastian Vettel is doing the same. I think once we get past Räikkönen, the only person I didn't manage to overtake was Lewis Hamilton, and yes, as you can see, Sebastian Vettel on the mediums there. So we've got a one stop in the Grand Prix, and we have to run the disgusting hard tyre. The hard tyre is not a good tyre at all. But here we go. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's go in Spain. Great start. We're going to be getting up behind Hulkenberg. I mean, it wasn't actually that great. Initially, it looked all right, but we're going to duck in behind Hulkenberg, get some of the slipstream, move up to the left-hand side, try and squeeze between Grosjean, who's had an absolute howler, and Hulkenberg, slotting behind Kevin Magnussen, our teammate here, is dicing it with Daniel Ricciardo. Magnussen has to give up the spot as we look to go around the outside of him in turn 3, but we've got a bit of understeer on the marbles, and we're going to follow Magnussen through to later on in the lap itself. We've got a better run than him out of turn 5, and this looks to be the move down the inside. Kevin Magnussen, so we're now on the fringes of the top 10, looking to be behind Daniel Ricciardo, who's on those soft compound tyres. Come a little bit later on now, onto lap 4. Alonso is in the pits already for McLaren, so clearly they're looking to go aggressive, maybe 2 or 3 stops. Then you can see a lap later, Jenson Button doing a very, very similar thing. So not too sure what McLaren's strategy is there. More cars in the pits here as we come onto lap 7 and onto lap 8. So Daniel Ricciardo, more of the soft compound tyre runners are in the pits here. So much so, this is how much we've fallen behind on the mediums. Lewis Hamilton already coming out the pits on the soft tyre there. He's a pit stop ahead of us already. So Spain is not our strongest track. You know, we're not really on the pace. Like I said, I don't really enjoy Spain too much. And I'm going to be honest, this Grand Prix was not exactly the most exhilarating for myself. It's not as if I had many opportunities to catch and overtake, as it were. But here we go, up in the 4th position, because more cars on the soft tyre pitting for their first choice. So now effectively we're running, I believe effectively we're running net second, as it were. I suppose the only other cars that haven't pitted are the Ferraris. Speaking of Ferraris, here they come. Kimi Räikkönen coming out the pits for another set of mediums. So that means he definitely has to make another pit stop, as he's run 2 sets of the medium tyre and has not run 3 compounds as of yet. Lap 11, here we go. Danny Kvyat is now ahead of us on the medium compound tyre. He's yet to pit. Here comes Räikkönen, going to steam past us with the extra speed of his Ferrari there. Gonna try and cut in, but no, Raikkonen's way past us. We weren't even going to be able to challenge for that. And to be honest to ourselves, it's better to just let these guys go. There's no point in holding ourselves up and trying to scrap with anyone else. Speaking of which, we're up to the DRS zone in the second sector, and here comes Nico Rosberg now, going to be down our inside. No point in blocking that one off. He's on a 2-stop, we're on a 1. We've both got 1 stop remaining, but we're going to lose out on time if we just pester him and fight with him. So Raikkonen sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we come on to lap 12 now. And here comes Vettel again, just screaming straight past us with that throw. Look at the extra speed he gets, and it's just absolutely insane. We're going to close up nicely under braking though, so that was one thing. The Renault was surprisingly good on the brakes at the Spanish Grand Prix. So here we come, up to the end of lap 12 now. We've got Max Verstappen all over our gearbox, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be peeling it into the pit lane at the end of this lap to bolt on the hard compound tyre. That's going to see us through pretty much 20 laps to the end of the Grand Prix, so it's going to be a long stint. We're not going to have much speed, unfortunately, because the tyre is not exactly great. Just obviously being the hardest tyre, little grip, you find yourself running wider in the high-speed corners and generally just not being very nice to try and heat up. 2.3 by the Renault boys, though, so a good pit stop. There goes Daniel Ricciardo, who definitely has to pit again. Kevin Magnussen, who still has to pit, I believe, actually. And the Manners running up there quite nicely. We're going to come out behind this massive gaggle of cars as the Manners go side by side into turn 1. Didn't even notice that when I was recording this Grand Prix, so the Manners duking it out there. And here we come 1 lap later. Manners still trying to take each other out into turn 1. Alonso's fighting through here. We're going to close up right up behind Felipe Massa, who's running on the medium compound tyres, which leads me to believe he has another stop to make. Just tapping his back end there as he went very slow through the middle of 3, as it were. And we're going to send one up the inside. Massa looking very unsure on the turn-in. We'll take the opportunity and we'll slot in just behind Sainz, who, remember, started 7th on the grid. Obviously, he's diced now with Verline and Alonso. So the Manners out of position because they haven't pitted yet. Not too sure what tyre they're running on, but I would assume they're probably medium tyres. Looks like it from this line, at least for what Verline is running there. So we're going to stick behind Sainz because I believe he's going to be trying to overtake Verline into the next corner. And he might be a little bit slow through 5 as the Manor doesn't have as much downforce. We're going to slipstream, DRS wide open, hold it on the brakes and do a double overtake into this turn 10 hairpin as Alonso got past Harrianto and Sainz trying to follow me through there, and he must have managed it, or Verline peeled in, one of the two. We're now up behind Harrianto 1 lap later, and it's just a formality on this one. The Manor still, unfortunately, the slowest car in Formula 1 in my career mode. Dive it down the inside, and that's back up to 9th place, and again, Sainz looking like he's just going to follow us through there. So, you know, he was proving to be a wise head on young shoulders, as it were. More cars making their stops now as Alonso is in again for McLaren. So you'd be led to believe now he's going to bolt on a set of hard tyres and run to the end of the Grand Prix. And the same can be said for Jenson Button the following lap as he drops now behind us. And as we charge towards the first corner, we're going to see Max Verstappen. No, sorry, that's Romain Grosjean ahead of us now. So Grosjean, clearly for his grid position, hasn't had a good Grand Prix, but he's now on the soft tyre as we just go past him there. So whatever's happened to Grosjean throughout the day clearly hasn't been good. As we now come on to lap 20, Carlos Sainz is now just behind us with Grosjean as well. Sainz going to show the power of the 2015 Ferrari engine, comes past us. We're going to pick up the slipstream though, and can we get him into turn 1 from a long way back? Sainz brakes early, but doesn't cover himself off very well, and we're going to take that position straight back up to 7th, as we've got now 13 laps remaining when it comes to the end of this one. A few laps later, and it's now Daniel Ricciardo up behind us in the works Red Bull, with Renault power, similar to us, so not too much of a straight line advantage. We're going to duck back into that slipstream. Can we get him again into turn 1? Much less of a gap than when it came to Carlos Sainz. Yes, we do. We're even going to run him out wide and give him very little opportunity to try and come back at us there. Good defensive driving, solid defensive driving from us. But now it's the hard compound tyres started feeling really disgusting at this point. The drive out of that final chicane was absolutely atrocious. We've now got Daniel Ricciardo and Jenson Button up behind us. We're going to cover Ricciardo off early, duck into his slipstream as soon as he comes past. Button's on our outside. Can we get Daniel Ricciardo again back down the inside? We're definitely not as far down the inside as we were before, and Daniel Ricciardo was a little bit indecisive about his move. It looked as if he might have been giving it up there. As we go to the end of lap 25 again, absolutely awful exit out of the final corner, and that means Button in the McLaren Honda of all cars is going to outpower us. Once again, going with the tactic, duck back in the end of the slipstream. You see the McLaren hasn't got the top end on it, and we'll dive once again down the inside, back into 7th place. This would be our best finishing position of the season so far if we can hold it. Speaking of holding, there's Hulkenberg going very slowly. Must have tangled with someone because Magnussen's in the pits, and I believe Magnussen was on the same strategy as me to run the one-stop strategy. But he's held Button and Ricciardo up very nicely there if we look back. So we've given ourselves a bit of breathing room. Unfortunately, 3 laps later, it didn't matter because they were right back on me. I've taken the chicane absolutely awfully, an atrocious line there. Very slow through the final corner. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo once again in the slipstream. Opens up that DRS. There comes the Red Bull Jaguar engine, as it were, back in the slipstream. Button's now up on our outside. We've got another car up behind us as well. And unfortunately, we haven't been as brave with Danny Ricciardo, but we still get him though. So 4 laps remaining if you include the lap that we are on. We're fighting for this 7th place. Danny Kvyat still up in 6th. He's looking to turn his season around there as we come on to the start of lap 31. 3 laps remaining now. Daniel Ricciardo once again back in the slipstream. Pulls out early this time. I'm not giving him much opportunity to go over again. Magnussen again in the pits, clearly experiencing some major issues there. And Ricciardo's got more of an advantage on us into the braking zone. He's finally got us for that 8th place. We've had to concede defeat. There's no way we're going to be able to keep up with him on our much more worn hard compound tyres. And as we come to the end, the McLarens just sort of dropped off at the end. Not too sure what happened with them, but Sergio Perez managed to end up overtaking them. So, not really too sure what happened there. Lewis Hamilton has won the Grand Prix, but we're going to come home to match our best result of the season in 8th place, as similar to what we got in the Australian Grand Prix. So 4 more championship points for us and the Renault team. No complaints here.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So
Anthony Davidson's not wrong, just saying, yeah, Mercedes won. Oh, why is that, Anthony? Well, they're just quicker than everyone. It's a very fair comment. Kimi Raikkonen, though, continuing strong form, 2nd place, but I think Lewis Hamilton now overtakes him in the World Drivers' Championship. Rosberg was very close behind him, but essentially because Raikkonen's, of course, finished in front of him, he'll retain 2nd place in the championship there. Not too sure what this is going to do for our championship, if we're going to overtake anyone or if we're going to remain as we were. As we feed into here, so we're 8th. Yeah, so you can see Button and Alonso just drop back at the end there. Not too sure what happened with the McLaren. But we're now 11th in the World Drivers' Championship. We're on the same points as Roman Grosjean there. And of course, whatever happened to Magnussen today, did not have a good Grand Prix, taking 2 pit stops at the end there. And we jumped McLaren Honda in the standings now. So we're now 7th in the Constructors. Here's our resource points for the end of the race. I'm going to spend those. So it looks as if our current resource points, we've definitely spent some on an upgrade, but I can't actually remember what that was. I think it was the, I want to say we got the drag. I honestly can't remember for the life of me. And it looks like we're going to be winning this rivalry against Esteban Gutierrez. And team still love us as the first driver. Look at it, just tick, tick, tick. You did a top job. You did an absolutely stellar performance. And there's Davidson and Crofty chilling in the Renault garage there. So thank you for watching and enjoying there. So we're at 299 on regards to the resource points. You can see that I did go into fuel efficiency and the drag. So we'll have that for Monaco. But if you have enjoyed, please leave a like and comment any feedback. Subscribe for future updates. And I will see you all next time.